There are action stars who became famous because of special effects. Some became legends because of the script. But there was one man who became famous because of real punches. No wires, no CGI, no stunt double. He used his own body as his investment, his own strength as his weapon. A boy who grew up in the fields of Thailand dreamed of becoming the next legend of martial arts cinema. His rise was fast. Success came one after another. Almost everyone turned their heads to him. But in the midst of fame, he suddenly disappeared. Quietly, without explanation, without the spotlight. What really happened? Why did the man who seemed unstoppable end up being left behind by everyone? And why, even now, are so many still asking what else he could have achieved? To understand the whole story, let's go back to where it all began. But before we start, don't forget to like this video. It means a lot to us content creators. Thank you very much, and now let's begin. Once there was a name that suddenly became famous in the world of action movies, Tony Jaa. His arrival was like a storm, powerful, fast, and surprising. With every kick and jump he did in movies, it was as if he was telling gravity that it couldn't stop him. He's not just an actor who knows how to act in fight scenes. He does his own stunts. No fear, no cheating with special effects. Real punches, real jumps, real pain. That's why when he became famous, many said he was the new hope of martial arts movies. But at the peak of his fame, he suddenly disappeared. Like a bubble, he simply vanished. And many people wondered, did he get tired? Was there a problem in the industry? Or did he choose something more important than his career? The truth is, he went through something heavier than most people think. Tony Jaa was born as Tachakorniram in Surin, Thailand. He grew up living a simple life in the province. He was surrounded by fields and rice paddies. His parents were farmers. Even as a child, he was taught hard work and perseverance. There was no fancy gym, no special equipment, but he had a clear dream. During temple festivals, martial arts movies were shown. That's where he first saw Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. While other kids just watched, he felt something different. He wanted to be like them, not just watch. He wanted to do the moves himself. In the fields, he practiced alone. Kick after kick, punch after punch, jump after jump, until his body got used to it. For him, martial arts is not just about fighting. It's an art, a discipline, a way to control oneself. When he was just 10 years old, he started learning Muay Thai at a local temple. The training was simple. There was no modern equipment, but there was intense determination. That's where his body became strong. That's where he learned proper timing and control. As he grew up, he joined local Muay Thai matches. He became known in his area, but he knew that his dream wouldn't end there. He didn't just want to be a fighter in the ring. He wanted to bring Muay Thai to the whole world. He wanted to prove that even a boy who grew up in the countryside could become a global action star. And that's where Tony Jaa's real journey began. But like many stories of success, everything comes with a price. And not all battles are seen on camera. Because his dream was clear, he looked for a way to combine martial arts and film. Just like his idols. That's when Pana Ridikrai noticed him. Pana is a well-known action director in Thailand. He loves real fights and real stunts. He doesn't rely on tricks. He saw something special in Tony, raw talent. Above all, incredible dedication. He invited Tony to join his stunt team. That's where the big change in Tony's life began. He didn't become a lead actor right away. For 14 years, he worked as a stuntman. No spotlight, no praise, but a lot of danger. He took punches for other actors. He jumped from high places. There was even a time when he jumped onto the back of an elephant for a commercial. With every stunt, the risk increased. The challenge got tougher, but he never backed down. Instead, he got even better. He perfected his moves. He studied the right timing. He learned how the camera works. Because in movies, being strong isn't enough. You also need to know how to perform on screen. Under the guidance of Pana, he didn't just learn Muay Thai. He also studied Taekwondo, Judo, and Aikido. He learned how to make a fight scene exciting in movies. It's not enough for the punches to be real. It also needs to look good on screen. This is where he became unique. While other action stars use wires and computer effects, Tony jumps and fights without a safety net, without a harness, without CGI. His own body was his greatest asset. Because of that, he developed a rare combination, a true martial artist and a natural performer. After many years behind the camera, his opportunity finally came. And when it did, it wasn't quiet. It exploded. In 2002, the film Ong-Bak, Muay Thai Warrior was released. That's when everything changed. From being an almost unknown stuntman, he suddenly became an international star. The movie was different. No CGI, no wires, no stunt double. He did all the jumps, punches, and kicks himself. His movements were fast. His knees and elbows were powerful. His jumps seemed to defy gravity. People all over the world became fascinated. He was no longer just a simple stuntman. He was no longer just a promising fighter. He became a symbol of a new generation of action movies. And his success didn't end there. The next movie was Tom Yum Goong, known in the U.S. as The Protector. He proved even more that his success was no accident. He wasn't just a fleeting star. He was a true force in action cinema. But as he became more famous around the world, there were things that slowly started to change behind the camera. And this is where his battles started to become tougher. In 2005, Tony raised the level of action even higher. In the movie Tom Yum Goong, he didn't just show ordinary fistfights. He used Muay Thai inspired by the movements of elephants. Heavy, powerful, direct. One of the most famous scenes in the movie is the almost 4-minute continuous fight inside a restaurant. No cuts, no breaks. A single continuous shot as he climbs each floor and takes down his opponents one by one. For martial arts enthusiasts, that scene became legendary, not just because of his strength, but because of his endurance and control. It's not easy to maintain that kind of energy without a break, but he did it. Because of this, people's expectations for action films changed. Good effects were no longer enough. They wanted something real. Several famous action stars were inspired by him. According to Donnie Yen, Tony's movies pushed him to further improve his own fight scenes. As he became more famous, it was inevitable that he would be compared to Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. Many believed that he would be the next big action star of Bollywood. His style was different, more raw, simpler, more authentic. While other movies were full of wires and special effects, Tony went back to the real movements of Muay Thai. Because of this, he was noticed even in Hollywood. There were directors and producers who wanted to include him in bigger projects. Jackie Chan himself admired him and wanted to include him in Rush Hour 3. That would have been a big opportunity for him to be recognized in Western cinema, but because of a scheduling conflict with Ong-Bak 2, he wasn't able to do it. It was an opportunity that could have changed the course of his career. On the outside, his life seemed unstoppable. But behind the camera, there were problems that were slowly coming out. His relationship with Panaridikrai, the mentor who helped him from the beginning, became tense. They had disagreements over creative decisions. The full details are not clear to the public, but what is clear is this: his relationship with him became tense. Clear in all the details. The full details are clear to the public. As his name grew bigger in the world, he felt the limitations even more. And sometimes the hardest battle is not against the opponent in front of you, not against the situation that seems out of your control. The more famous he became, the more he felt that he didn't have control over his own life. Almost everything was controlled by Sahamonko Film. His schedule, the movies he would accept, even his earnings. Yes, he became famous because of Ong-Bak and Tom Yum-goong. But that didn't mean he was free. Even though he was famous, his actions were still limited. Even though he was one of the most in-demand martial artists of his time, he had little say in decisions about his career. While Hollywood was knocking, he couldn't just leave Thailand to try bigger projects. He was like a star that wanted to soar high, but there was a rope tied to his foot. The pressure became even greater when he made Ong-Bak 2. He wasn't just the lead actor, he also became the director. He was the one acting, he was directing, he was responsible for the entire production. He barely had any rest. The workload was extremely heavy. As the shooting went on, the situation became more chaotic. There were reports that he suddenly disappeared from the set. He couldn't be found for several weeks. A lot of rumors spread. Some said he had a breakdown. But according to people close to him, the reason was deeper. He was extremely exhausted, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. He felt like he was trapped. That's why he chose to step away for a while. He entered a Buddhist monastery. It was quiet, no cameras, no pressure. He just wanted peace. His sudden departure caused problems at the studio. The movie was delayed, the schedule was disrupted. But for Tony, he needed that. Not for his career, but for himself. Even when he returned to the industry, the problems were not over. He was still bound by a contract. In 2013, he decided to break free. He wanted to be free. He wanted to try bigger international projects. But it wasn't easy. They even tried to stop him from joining Fast and Furious 7. There were even talks about a large sum of money just to release him from the contract. There was a legal dispute. He was caught in a difficult situation, and since then he never worked on a Thai production again. Yes, he got into some Western films, but the momentum was different. The former strength of his name was hard to bring back. It's like a fire that once burned brightly, but gradually faded. As the pressure mounted and his career seemed to be at a breaking point, he made a decision that surprised many. He walked away, completely. At the peak of his fame, Tony Jaa chose to leave the spotlight and become a Buddhist monk. In 2010, after many years of intense training and non-stop work, he chose to seek a different path. This wasn't a publicity stunt. This wasn't a way to become even more famous. It was a personal decision. Instead of applause, he chose silence. Instead of camera flashes, he chose a simple life. Many people didn't understand. Many people asked why he would leave everything at a time when the world was already his. But sometimes, no matter how strong you are in front of the camera, there are battles that can't be finished with a punch or a kick, and that's the battle within yourself. At that point, everything was too much for Tony. There was pressure from the industry. His body was exhausted. And he also had problems with his contract with Sa-Mong-Ko Film. It was like everything was pulling him down at the same time. So in 2010, he made a decision that surprised many. He left the world of movies. He entered a temple. The man who used to jump on rooftops and fight many opponents. Now, he quietly meditates. No more stunts, no more cameras, no more applause. Instead, there are prayers, there is silence, there is reflection. Because he left so suddenly, a lot of rumors spread. Some said he had a mental breakdown. Some said he was running away from legal and financial problems. But in Thailand, what he did isn't unusual. Temporarily becoming a monk is common in their culture. This is done to clear one's mind, to fix oneself, to find peace. For Tony, it was like a reset button. After many years, he felt like his life was being controlled by others. In the temple, he felt freedom. No contracts, no deadlines, no pressure. Inside the temple, his days were simple: meditation, prayer, quiet living, simple food, simple life. He didn't directly say it was because of problems in the industry, but many believe that stress and tension had a big impact on his decision. While he was gone, there was a huge gap left in martial arts cinema. Fans were eager for news about him. Some said he had completely stopped acting. Others believed he would come back even stronger. But while everyone was waiting, the industry moved on. The trend changed. Other stars rose to fame. Donnie Yen and Iko Uwais became more active. The action genre evolved as his absence grew longer. The momentum he gained from Ong-Bak and Tom Yum-gung gradually faded. There were opportunities in Hollywood that could have taken him to a higher level. But time passed. In the entertainment world, time moves fast. If you stop, someone else can take your place. After a long period of reflection, he's ready to come back. But the situation is different now. The industry is no longer the same, and his career momentum isn't the same either. Yes, people were happy when they heard he was coming back. There was excitement. There was nostalgia. But he's no longer the sole new face of the martial arts revolution. The years he spent as a monk gave him peace. But in exchange, he lost valuable time in the fast-paced world of showbiz. For Tony Jay, returning to action movies isn't just a simple comeback. It's a whole new battle. And this time, it's not an enemy in front of him, but his own past. And the question is whether he can still reach the heights he once achieved. When he returned to the movies, many hoped that the strength of his name would also return. But it wasn't that simple. Yes, he came back, but he was never able to fully regain the legend status he once held. After his time as a monk, a new opportunity came: Hollywood. International filmmakers started to notice him because of Ong-Bak and Tom Yum-gung. Many said he could follow in the footsteps of Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. In 2015, he landed a major role in Furious 7. He was with Vin Diesel and Paul Walker. That was a big movie, a huge audience, massive exposure. He had fight scenes that stood out, especially his fight with Paul Walker. But fans noticed something. He wasn't the successor. His role was big. It's like his full potential wasn't fully utilized. This was followed by XXX, Return of Xander Cage in 2017. He was with Vin Diesel again, and even Donnie Yen. Big cast, big budget. Many hoped that this would be his real turning point in Hollywood. But again, he wasn't in the spotlight. There were more effects, more editing. The action was more stylized. The role and his real style that made him famous were hardly seen. For many fans, it seemed like Hollywood didn't know how to use him properly. Instead of making him the main star, they made him a supporting character. And when you're with a lot of big names, it's easy to get overshadowed. His move to Hollywood wasn't easy either. While Jackie Chan used humor and Jet Li fit well into quiet and mysterious roles, Tony struggled to find the right place for himself. One of his biggest challenges was the language. He was used to letting his body do the talking. In Hollywood, English lines are important, long conversations, quick exchanges. By 2014, he was already able to do English interviews. But many still believed that the language barrier limited the roles being offered to him. Most of the time, he was given characters with only a few lines, more action than words. And even though he was great in physical scenes, the system in Hollywood is still different. It's not enough to just be good at fighting. You also need to carry a scene through words. As he continued to appear in international films, it was clear that his position changed. He was no longer the new revolution in martial arts cinema. He became just one of the many action stars on the global stage. And in Hollywood, time moves fast. If you don't get the right project at the right time, it's easy to get lost in the noise. But this doesn't mean he failed. His battle just changed. From being the main star in his own movies in Thailand, he became part of a bigger group in international films. And sometimes, the hardest thing to accept is not the fall, but the truth that the light you once held is no longer the same. Since his roles in Hollywood had very few lines, Tony was forced to showcase all his skills in the fight scenes. That's where he makes up for it. That's where he speaks. But that wasn't enough for him to become the main face of martial arts in the West. Another big obstacle for him was his long-standing problem with the Sahamongkol film. He was tied to a contract for several years, and when he finally got out of it in 2013, it wasn't easy. There were reports that they tried to stop him. When he joined Furious 7, there was even talk about a large sum being demanded in exchange for his release from the contract. There was a legal dispute, and because of this, he almost lost his connection to the Thai film industry, the industry that made him famous. He continued making movies like Skin Trade, Never Back Down, No Surrender, and Triple Threat. There was an international cast, there was exposure, but it didn't have the same impact as Ong-Bak. He was rarely given creative freedom. He was also rarely made the main lead, who could carry the entire movie. So even though he was on the global stage, he never truly became the worldwide martial arts icon that many expected. Gradually, the fire that once burned so brightly seemed to fade, and many fans wondered what really happened. But there is one thing that will never change. Tony Jaa made a huge contribution to martial arts cinema. When Ong-Bak Muay Thai Warrior came out, it changed the course of action films. The standard was raised. The fight scenes became more realistic. They became heavier. They became more grounded. His style, rooted in traditional Muay Thai, showed the world a more serious and authentic approach. According to Donnie Yen, Tony's emergence pushed other action stars to further improve their own fight choreography. At that time, many movies relied on special effects and overly stylized movements. But Tony went back to basics. No wires, no CGI, real falls, real punches. Because of that, many believed he would follow in the footsteps of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. Many thought he would bring martial arts cinema to a new era. But as quickly as he rose, his momentum faded just as fast. The problems with the studio, the pressure of directing Ong-Bak 2, his entry into the monastery. All of these had an effect. While he was fighting contract and legal issues, the industry moved forward. And when he finally broke free in 2013, a lot had changed. Yes, he made it to Hollywood. But he wasn't given the same control that other action legends experienced in their own projects. He wasn't able to fully showcase his full potential in the way fans expected. In the end, Tony Jaa's story isn't just about fame. It's a reminder that no matter how skilled you are, no matter how strong you are, there are battles that aren't seen on screen. And sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't the opponent in front of you. It's not the system behind the camera, but even if he never reached the heights he once did, the mark he left will never be erased. Because at one time, he proved to the whole world that a boy from the countryside of Thailand could change the face of martial arts cinema. In Hollywood, he didn't experience the freedom that Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan had in their own projects. He didn't become a filmmaker who could decide the direction of the film. He remained a performer in someone else's vision. He followed the script, followed the plan. He wasn't the one making his own story. He faced another challenge. While Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan had characters with their own personalities and depth, Tony Jaa was often focused only on the fight. In Ong-Bak, his character was simple. In Tom Yum Goong, the story revolved around his search for the stolen elephant. Straightforward, simple, physical. His roles didn't have much emotional depth. While Bruce Lee showed the reason why he fought, Tony focused more on the strength and intensity of the fight. Because of this, he had a hard time building a deeper connection with audiences outside of martial arts fans. When your role is based purely on action, it's hard to transition to other types of characters. But even so, his influence can't be erased. Even now, his fight scenes are still being studied. Many stunt designers have been inspired by his style. In the history of action cinema, the name Tony Jaa will remain as one of the most well-known martial artists in first. And the question will always come back. If he had been given more creative control at the start of his career, could he have taken the place of a Bruce Lee? If Hollywood had shaped him in the right way, could he have become the main face of the new generation of action cinema? Stars. No one can answer for sure. But one thing is clear. He may not have taken the path that many expected. He may not have reached the peak that fans thought was meant for him. But what he contributed to martial arts cinema will never be lost. That is already written in history. And sometimes, success isn't measured by how long you stay at the top, but by how strong your impact is while you're there. Yeah,